Welcome, everyone. I'm Ann Shockett, president of the NFRW, the National Federation of Republican Women. We're the largest grassroots women's political organization in the United States. And we've been on the front lines for 83 proud years, building leaders, energizing communities, and keeping America strong. One of the best ways to accomplish our mission is through education. We're dedicated to ensuring that people of all ages have access to literature that espouses American values. We've been doing that since we began the Mamie Eisenhower Library Project in 1961. It's been one of our top priorities for 60 years. I'm so proud to introduce our Literacy Committee new Book Clubs Across America program. And I'm so honored to host this first interview. Thank you to my literacy chair, Laura Carlson of Iowa, Vice Chair Michelle Herstius of Louisiana, and the project manager, Tony Gilhui of Pennsylvania, and the entire committee for taking the lead on this project. And thank you to NFRW Communications Director Lisa Xerox and National Member at Large Beverly Owensby for advising them. Today is very special. It's a first in literacy education in the NFRW. We're interviewing two outstanding people whose mutual concerns brought them together. They're making a difference about an issue affecting so many people. Joining us are 13-year-old cancer survivor and advocate, Sadie Keller, along with a very good friend of the Federation of Republican Women, Congressman McCaul of Texas. Sadie and Congressman McCaul are co-authors of a book called Better Angels. I hope you can see this, everyone. You can change the world. You are not alone. At the age of 7, Sadie Keller was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. She turned her pain into action, and while she was still going through treatment, she began lobbying in Washington, D.C. to help increase the funding to childhood cancer research. While she was at the Capitol, she met Congressman McCaul, the founder of the Childhood Cancer Caucus. Their partnership has led to new laws, new science, and hope for thousands of children and families battling cancer. It's such a pleasure to have you both here to discuss your book, Better Angels, with our members across the nation. Sadie, what inspired you to write Better Angels?
Yeah, well, first off, I just want to thank y'all so much for having me. I'm just so excited to be talking with you. So I went through childhood cancer, and it was so hard to go through. And Better Angels is about my journey through childhood cancer. And I wanted to give hope to the families going through childhood cancer, because whenever you're going through cancer, you don't know what to expect. And I'm a person who loves to know what to expect, and going through childhood cancer is scary. So I wanted the families who are going through childhood cancer to know what to expect and not be so scared. And I also wanted to write Better Angels to let people know that no matter what you are going through, you can get through any hard time, and that you just have to look for the angels in your life, because they are all around you, and they are there to help you through anything.
Sadie, you are an inspiration. Thank you for actually taking the time to write this story and share it with so many people who are going through similar situations. Congressman McCaul, I remember last year when you gave me this copy of Better Angels, and let's see, here it goes. You actually inscribed it for me. I cherish it. Once I started reading it, I really couldn't put it down. What motivated you to collaborate on this book with Sadie?
Well, first, Ann, let me thank you and the National Federation of Republican Women, really the backbone of our party that tries to make a difference every day. And thank you for allowing us to be a part of the book clubs across America literacy campaign. And we're just honored to be a part of this. I think what drove me to write the book was to document the journey, extraordinary journey that a congressman and a little child with childhood cancer what they can accomplish together. And it's a book about our journey together, but it's also about the journey of so many children across America who have either survived or have not, and what the families have to go through. And it's a very informative piece for families going through the experience, but also an educational piece to people who may not have experienced this issue, and also ways to advocate across the country. I call my army, my team of advocates, and they're little children all across the nation that lobby the halls of Capitol Hill. Nothing is more inspiring than watching them, in action.
Well, thank you for sharing that journey with us in this book and also taking the necessary action. Would you share with us, Congressman, about the first time you actually met Sadie? What was that like, and what brought you to the point where you actually wanted to collaborate with her on this book?
Well, at the time I was looking for a face for the cause or the movement. And the advocates brought Sadie to me. She's from Texas. And I could instantly see the charisma and the passion, and she's so positive. There's really a bright light inside of her that you may not be able to see as much in the Zoom as you can when you see her in person. And I hope all of you get a chance to meet her. But I was immediately caught by that. And I knew almost immediately that we were going to do great things and we were going to be a team. And I told my staff to cancel my schedule for the afternoon, which they didn't like to hear. Staff are. And I said, no, I want to spend the afternoon with this girl. And I gave her a tour of the Capitol. We went to the Capitol Dome Rotunda, and right in the middle, where you've seen presidents lay in state, and it's a heart of democracy. And we looked up at the Rotunda, George Washington, the 13 colonies, grabbed each other's hands and spun around and laughed. And it's been an extraordinary journey ever since.
Well, I tell you, even though we are on Zoom, we can all see the light from both Sadie and from you. What a special day that must have been for both of you. I'm glad that we have the opportunity to listen to your story and to be able to appreciate all the steps that you took to get to this point today. Sadie, can you point to somebody or something that helped you get through your cancer treatments?
Yes, well, I'm a person who I love to help others so much. And so in the beginning of my treatment, I was so scared to go to chemo every single week. And so I started looking on Pinterest, and I found treats to make for my nurses and doctors. And it actually made me look forward to going to chemo every week, because seeing them smile is what made me smile. And it made me just feel so good and forget on some of the things that I was going through. And there's actually a part in Better Angels that I would love to read for all of y'all. It's in chapter 6, and it's called The Toy Blizzard, and it's about me giving treats to my nurses and doctors. This wasn't the best time for me. We had to go to clinic 2 times a week. Once a week, I got the whole deal: chemo, wound care, and a cleaning of my PICC line. This lasted for months, which when you're 8 years old is basically forever, especially when you're just starting treatment and see clinic after clinic in your future. I didn't want to go to the first clinic. That morning, I kind of freaked out even before I got in the car. But when we got there, I saw Flick, one of my cancer friends, giving out cupcakes to the doctors and nurses. His mom, Casey, is a really good baker. All the medical people looked excited to get the treats, and I thought, that's a really cool idea. While sitting in the clinic, I looked for ideas on Pinterest using an iPad. This was in early April, a couple weeks before Easter, so I searched Easter treats. Up popped a picture of a rabbit made out of a styrofoam cup with paper ears, googly eyes, and paper circles for cheeks. Mom and I bought plastic wrappers at a baking store, stuffed one of them into a cup, and then filled the cup with candy. We made a bunch of those. I cut out every single circle and ear myself, and it changed everything. I couldn't wait to go back to clinic so I could give Dr. Engel and all my nurses, including Brittany, the treats. The next week, I got little jars the size of medicine bottles and filled them with jelly beans. I wrote labels for each one. Chill pills. Take 2 pills daily when stressed. If no progress, find Sadie immediately. I made 20 of those, buying the bottles at Hobby Lobby. Every week after that, I made something different. After clinic, I would say, what are we going to make next? The nurses couldn't wait to see what I would come up with, so I got into baking. I made cupcakes and sugar cookies with no more cancer on them, and a circle with cancer and a line through it. And I wrote other stuff like #1 best doctor ever. I put the cookies in little wooden boxes from Hobby Lobby and painted the boxes with a marker. I put a name on each one. Dr. Engel, Jennifer, our social worker, Caitlin, the child life specialist, Fatima, the blood woman, and nurses, Brittany, Maria, Jen, Kelly, Christina, Ann Lane, and a bunch more. So just giving back to my nurses and doctors and helping other people and doing that for them made me look forward to going to chemo every week and made me feel so much better whenever I was going through really tough times.
I can see what Congressman McCaul was talking about when he said there is a special glow, a light that comes from you. You spread such joy. And to do that during times of adversity shows such a strength, and it comes from the heart. So thank you for sharing that story, Sadie. Congressman, can you give us a background on how the Childhood Cancer Caucus was started in Congress, and what motivated you to do that tremendous work to raise awareness for childhood cancer and the major legislation that you created?
Well, thanks, Ann. So when I was in grade school, fourth grade, my best friend showed up one day and he didn't feel well, and his hair started to fall out. And I said, Todd, are you okay? And he said, no, I don't feel very good. I didn't realize he had leukemia, which at that time was a death sentence. And a month later, I was attending his funeral. At a young age, it's probably the same age that Sadie was when she came down with leukemia. I didn't quite understand what had happened until I got older. And as I got elected to Congress, I had a lot of parents like Donna and Tim Culliver who came to me and raised awareness to me. They brought me to a Cure Search rally, gave me a baseball bat to wipe out childhood cancer. And it was signed by both survivors. And what got me the most is they said, and some of the children that signed this bat are no longer with us. And I got a little teary-eyed, but at that time, that's over 15 years ago, there was almost nothing being done for the children. We've done a lot for the progress of cancer research, but I was quite honestly amazed how left out the children were, and they didn't have a voice in the Congress. And that's what the caucus was really designed to do, is give them a voice on Capitol Hill. And to see them become my best advocates, my wife said, they don't need to pay top paid lobbyists. The kids are the best advocates. And my wife, Linda, was correct, because they are the best. Once they go into a member's office, it's very hard to say no to a child making the case. And since that time, we passed major pieces of legislation. I think the one I'm all proud of all of them, but the Creating Hope Act was one of the biggest ones that used market forces to help the drug companies develop a childhood cancer drug that we hadn't had since the 1980s. Well, and eventually it led to Dr. Allison, MD Anderson, a childhood cancer study, getting FDA approval for immunotherapy, which is a cutting edge now, remarkably cutting edge therapy to treat cancer patients, both children and adults. And he got the Nobel Prize for Medicine. And to think that it all started with this bill. It's rare in Congress to pass anything at all, but to pass a bill that is going to save children's lives, I mean, I think there's nothing more rewarding than that.
That early experience made such a profound impact on your life and everything you did after that, Congressman. You bring such depth and determination to your position in Congress. I want to thank you on behalf of everyone for being a true public servant. That's what makes you stand out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Sadie, people of all ages face adversity, as the Congressman just explained. What can we do, in your estimation, to take our minds off of our troubles when we're going through hard times?
Yeah, well, something that always helped me through my treatment was doing something that I love to do and help take my mind off of some of the things that I was struggling with. And I love to do art. I would paint or I would draw and I would just do something artistic. And it helped me express how I was feeling. And it made me forget about all the other stuff that was going on in my life that I was struggling with. But I think what my most important thing to say for getting through a hard time is to stay positive. And I know that that is so hard to do, especially going through really hard times, but it is something that can make all the difference. And in my struggles, I would just try and look for the positives. And one way that helped me look for the positives was making a list of things that I'm grateful for. Because if you're just thinking about all the hard stuff in your life, you kind of forget what you have to be grateful for. And so, even now, when I'm going through a hard time, I make a list of things that I'm grateful for and people that I'm grateful for. And it has helped me so, so much. And so, I hope if anyone watching this is going through a hard time, maybe doing one of those things can help you.
Sadie, that is such wonderful advice. Thank you. Congressman McCaul, you've had wonderful successes introducing legislation and lobbying with Sadie. Could you tell us a little bit about the passage of the STAR Act?
Well, it's Survivorship, Treatment, Access, and Research, what STAR stands for. And we try to give them every Congress something that's realistic that we can pass. But this was the most comprehensive childhood cancer bill ever passed by Congress. What the extraordinary thing is, as I mentioned, to have the children be my advocates and a team, an army, if you will, of children going door to door on Capitol Hill. Hopefully, we'll get back to that with COVID behind us, hopefully in the near future. But STAR, it's an incredible story. I do want to read a passage out of the book, but this was it culminated and with we passed the bill. I had Ivanka Trump was a huge advocate, worked with her very closely. And then I ended up taking little Sadie into the Oval Office to sign the bill. And she's very confident, but this is the President of the United States walking into the Oval Office. But she was nervous, but she didn't show it. He absolutely adored Sadie. There's a great picture in the book of all this. And what I found so delightful was he was enamored by her. And instead of giving the author of the bill the pen that he signed the bill with, he handed it to Sadie and he handed her the pen. I thought that spoke volumes, about that moment and actually about a side of the president that a lot of people maybe didn't always see. And so I say in my book, the STAR Act had not only passed Congress, but it was fully funded. And this was the most comprehensive bill ever passed. It's hard to have a bill passed and signed into law. It's harder to get Congress to pay for legislation when they pass it. And it's even rarer to pass a bill that saves the lives of our greatest investment, our children. There's a big moral to this story. Sadie and I went on CNN. I like to watch Fox probably a little bit more, but we were on CNN, Wolf Blitzer. And he said in an interview with Sadie, liberals, conservatives, because of people like you, they got together and they got something very special that's going to help a lot of kids at a time when it looks like nothing can get done in Congress, when Washington is seen as so broken, partisan, and toxic. We can still reach agreement on important things. Citizens can still get together, form a movement, get their elected officials to listen, and members of Congress show they are human beings first with families of their own. As I have 5 children, a child telling a cancer story can still get those members to think, and that is why I came to Washington.
Well, you and your army are making such a difference with each and every step that you take. And that is one incredible story that you shared with us, Congressman. That was a moment in history that it was wonderful to hear that inside perspective of what actually happened. Thank you. Thank you so much for laying that to us.
Thank you.
Sadie, what do you enjoy most about lobbying? When you visit the congressional offices and speak with the representatives or the staff, does any particular moment stand out? Maybe a special story that you can share as well.
Yeah, well, what got me lobbying in the first place was at the beginning of my treatment or in the middle of my treatment, I found out that Out of billions of dollars that the government gives to cancer research, only 4% of that goes to childhood cancer research. And when I found this out, I just couldn't believe it, because that is not enough. And kids are the future. And without us, there is no future. And so that got me to go to Capitol Hill and fight for national impact and awareness, and to help get acts that are passed to help childhood cancer research. And so that one day childhood cancer isn't a thing anymore. And I just feel like so fortunate, me being a young girl, being able to go and meet with such important people. And definitely one of my favorite memories is going into Congressman McCaul's office, like he said, and how he took off the whole afternoon to give me a tour of the Capitol. That was so incredible. And I think about it just like so much to this day. And that was like the beginning of our friendship and our teamwork, and how now we're here today, which is like so crazy to think about.
So crazy and so wonderful.
Yeah.
And I think that you have proven that every single voice counts, and people should take the time to really think about that. Sometimes they feel, oh, I'm only one voice. What can I do? But your voice has resounded across the Capitol, and especially with the help of Congressman McCaul.
Yes.
Congressman, do you have any updates on legislation currently in Congress to increase research and funding for childhood cancer? I actually have to say, I was shocked to hear from Sadie right now what a small percentage was targeted for research for children.
Right, and I mean, all cancer research, I believe, I'm very supportive. But why are the children? Why is such a small percentage given to children who have the rest of their lives in front of them, and the investment, of our children? Just to echo Sadie, I remember standing on the speaker's balcony that first day I met her. She had a pink dress on with a pink headband, bald head, because she's going through treatment, and we're looking out at the Washington Monument and the lawn, and there's like dark clouds but a ray of sunshine coming in. To me, that was so prescient about that's you have dark times in your life, but then there's that sunshine, rays of hope that come in. But we have so much on our agenda. We reauthorized the Creating Hope Act, which again, Nobel Prize for Medicine, pretty amazing. We are looking at the STAR Act to get that reauthorized and fully funded. We're looking at also FDA fines on pharmaceutical companies going to donate free pharmaceuticals to children. The one thing we haven't talked about was an extraordinary trip that Sadie and I took to Africa. Texas Children's Hospital has a Global Hope Initiative. We traveled to Botswana to meet with Sadie's counterparts that had cancer. In the United States, we've done a better job. We have an 80% mortality rate. In Africa, it's a 90% death rate. And so, I'm sorry, we have a 98% survivorship rate. I should say in the United States, converse that to 90% mortality in Africa. So it was amazing to see Sadie interacting with her contemporaries who had gone through the same thing. And even though it's across continents, how much they really had in common. So we passed the Global Hope Act, which will help codify Texas Children's Initiative into law. These drug companies are donating, it won't cost the taxpayers, donating these low-cost medications that will save children's lives, over there. Finally, with COVID, we passed the COVID bills for hospitals, but they left out Medicaid, which goes to children. It was all Medicare. I was able to include a Medicaid provision that got millions of dollars of funding to Texas Children's, St. Jude's, MD Anderson, all the childhood cancer, Dell Children's here in Austin, and just to really make a difference. So we have a lot of work in front of us. And finally, and if I could just say, there's been a lot of talk about the Moonshot program to really address R&D for cancer research, and I want to ensure that a good percentage, more than 4% of that, will go to the National Cancer Institute for Childhood Cancer as well.
Can you expand a little bit on the the moonshot program. Some people may not be aware of what that is, Congressman.
Well, this would be an extraordinary kind of like Manhattan Project for cancer, to hopefully with these new therapies like immunotherapy to really wipe cancer out from the face of the earth. And I don't know if it will happen in our lifetime, Ann, but I hope it happens in Sadie's lifetime. But this is it's a big, bold initiative, and at a critical time. And I think that my job is to ensure that the children are not being forgotten and left behind.
What a blessing you are. You talked about a journey. Well, your journey has really encompassed not only our own nation, but really the entire globe. So thank you for doing that and reaching out. You definitely are that light on the hill. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sadie, you have so many wonderful messages throughout your book, and I hope that everyone does read this book. It is an incredible story. As I said, I could not put it down, and I just kept on reading it and just finished the book in one sitting. What would you say, though, is your key message in this book? What is your takeaway?
Well, my main takeaway that I hope everyone leaves Better Angels with is I want them to know that they are never alone. Through any struggles that they are going through, there is angels all around them that are there to help them get through that hard time. And I want also people to know that they can change the world for anything that they believe in, no matter how old they are or what they're going through. They have a voice and they can use it for whatever they want. And that's why it says on the book, you can change the world. You are not alone, because I want everyone to know that you can dream big and that you can achieve any dream that you have.
Well, Sadie and Congressman McCaul, I think that my members would agree with me in saying that you are better angels. You really, truly are. Sadie, do you have any questions that you would like to bring up, or any thoughts that you and the Congressman would like to share at this particular point about the book? Something perhaps that we haven't covered. Maybe Congressman, you have a takeaway message from this book as well.
I do. And this is when I said you can actually, it's amazing what you can learn from a child that's gone through an experience like this. And Sadie is an angel to me. And she would draw paintings. She drew a self-portrait of herself curled up in the hospital, but with a darkness and then bright, brilliant flowers. And it symbolized a lot, coming out of a dark experience into a brighter experience. She would draw pictures of her friends who passed away and paint angel wings on them. And that's how we came up with the idea from Lincoln, the better angels in ourselves, right? That we aspire to be the better angels. And I found the whole thing on a more kind of deep philosophical point from the book. And, I'm a student of history. I studied, my dad was a World War II veteran, bombardier, bombed the Nazis. Viktor Frankl, who survived the Holocaust, a great philosopher. And if you don't mind, I'd just like to read a short passage. It really, in my view, encapsulates what my takeaway is on this book. And I say, the most beautiful thing about us humans is our ability to turn suffering into meaning. After all, you can't have lightness without the dark. It's the duality of nature and the universe. Viktor Frankl, a great psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust death camps during World War II, wrote that, quote, "To live is to suffer." He also said, quote, "If there is any meaning in life at all, then there must be a meaning in suffering. Without suffering and death, human life cannot be complete." And then I say, I think that the most human and even heroic thing you can do in life is to find that meaning in suffering, even in the death of those that we love. Sometimes it takes a child like Sadie to teach us that. Together, Sadie and all of the other angels, the families and advocates and scientists, will fight with me to bring new cures to children around the world. We'll turn suffering into meaning. We'll encounter great darkness along the way. But we know that the further we go, the more we'll picture a great future for these kids. It will have the most brilliant colors.
I think people will find great comfort from those thoughts, Congressman. And what enormous strength and determination and dedication you and Sadie have. What a tremendous team you make. Congressman, how has it been working with Sadie since you first met? In your estimation, what are her strongest qualities?
It's been spiritual. Without, I mean, at times it's tears of joy, tears of sadness. It's been a spiritual journey for me. Like I said, I've learned a lot about life, what's important in life. Sometimes we in Congress lose sight of what's important in life. There are many traps up there. I like to maintain the heart of a public servant. And that's what Sadie has brought to me, because she is so inspiring. She is so spiritual, and she has gone through a horrible experience and maintained a very positive viewpoint. And I can't say that about everybody in my life, but these children in general, the treatments and procedures and the needles. I mean, Sadie had, I forgot how many spinal taps, and there are pictures in the book about her getting a spinal tap and all the painful procedures. And there she is in her closet going on social media, trying to help other children about what the experience is going to be like. And that she talks about in the book, how she educated other children going through experience about what to expect, not to be afraid, that you're going to be okay. And this is what it's all about. And wow, to me, it just kind of blows you away to see someone this young, yet being so powerful in her messaging and so pure at heart, like an angel.
She is an angel. I think her selflessness and her need to help others gave her so much courage and strength. Thank you, Sadie. We have so many members throughout our country listening to this. They have children and grandchildren and other young people in their lives. What advice, Sadie, can you give to other children going through cancer and for their loved ones who are helping them, or maybe even going through a hard time themselves?
I would say to become passionate about something. I am super passionate about childhood cancer, and it has helped me through my hard times, just speaking about what I want to fight for. And I think everyone has a voice and they can use it for so many different things. And I feel like people can find organizations on the thing that they want to change in the world, and they can help them out and become a part of what they do and use their voice to speak out for whatever they want to do. And I just want to share that with everybody, because fighting for childhood cancer has helped me in so many of my hardest moments. And I think it can help so many other people too.
The Literacy Committee had come up with several questions. I'd like to ask the next couple questions to both of you. This is what they wanted me to ask. Even though we may not personally know any children with cancer, how can we make a difference in these children's lives? What do you suggest that our members can do to get involved? Sadie and the Congressman.
Well, I would say one super easy way to make a difference and spread awareness for childhood cancer is to just simply share something on social media. You can follow Better Angels Book and Sadie Keller Foundation on Instagram and Facebook. And you can also follow my personal page, Sadie Keller _, on Instagram. And we post a lot of stuff spreading awareness about childhood cancer, and that you could share to your followers. And they may even learn something that they never knew before, and they might share that to a friend, and then everyone would know something about childhood cancer. And so that is one super easy way to just spread awareness and become part of this cause.
Sadie, would you please repeat those particular sites so that our members can actually write them down?
Yes. Okay, so if you want to follow Better Angels, you can go to Better Angels Book on Instagram and Facebook. And then also you can follow my foundation page, which is Sadie Keller Foundation. And then my personal page on Instagram is Sadie Keller _.
Thank you. And Congressman, do you have any additional advice on how our members can get involved?
Well, I think obviously, following the social media is important, as particularly as young people, to get the word out. I would also the joining. We have a childhood cancer summit every September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and we typically had a big rally on the mall. But this is a movement, not unlike other political movements. It is a grassroots movement with families across the nation who are coming together, united in a cause. And I like to think in Congress, I'm leading that effort, and Sadie is leading it, with the children. And it's very exciting. It's a positive story, and coming out of the pandemic, the harder times. I do want to say that all the proceeds of this book go to charity. All of it goes to research and development for childhood cancer. So this is not about some congressman writing a book about himself and trying to make money off it. I wanted this to be a book about them, and I wanted to help the proceeds go to their cause, which we so deeply, believe in. And I think the summit is a way to getting together, getting into the legislation, and a grassroots movement to get legislation on Capitol Hill passed. This is like the fundamentals of our democracy, how you actually can get things done. And what is, I think, the coolest thing about the book is watching these children activate into an army of advocates that I was able to harness their energy and unleash it on Capitol Hill. And many people said it couldn't be done. I mean, I was not on the relevant committee, for instance. Oh, you can't get this done. My wife, a great Republican woman, would stand off the House floor and literally hit every member who was not a co-sponsor of these bills. And, I think women are the best advocates, strongest workers, and Sadie's no exception. And it's been, I've done a lot with Homeland and terrorism, countering that, and Foreign Affairs Committee. But this is, I would love for all the National Federation of Republican Women to get involved in this cause, because it's a righteous one.
Absolutely agree. It's not only vital, it's also very rewarding. And you both have been so thorough that you actually answered the next question. So I don't know if you even asked that. This is our book of the year. And I know that so many of our women will be purchasing this book. And as you mentioned, all the funds from the sales of this book go straight to research dealing with childhood cancer. Are there any final thoughts you and Sadie and you, Congressman McCaul, would like to share with us before we conclude this wonderful and inspiring interview?
Yeah, well, I would just love to say the best way to help out for childhood cancer is to buy Better Angels, and also gift one to a friend, because you can learn so much about childhood cancer. And like Congressman McCaul said, all the proceeds of this book go to childhood cancer research. So not only will you be learning about childhood cancer, you'll be saving lives at the same exact time, which is so important. And that's why Better Angels is here. And also you can get a book at betterangelsbook.com if you would like to get one.
Thank you, Sadie. And Congressman, any final thoughts for our women across the nation?
Well, I mean, Sadie's a rock star.
Yes, she is.
I've watched her on, we've been on Fox News, a lot. We've been on CNN. We went, she was on Kelly Clarkson's show. We went on Joel Osteen's show, and he was highlighting the book. He absolutely loved the book. His mother called, what did she call you, Sadie? Lady Sadie. And his brother does missionary work in Africa. So our missionary work in Africa with this cause is, relevant. It's so relevant to the cause as well. But I just think whether it's forming the caucus or writing this book, the reason we did it was to raise awareness throughout the nation that this is the #1 killer of our children. If you look at the deaths of children, cancer is it takes away more of our children than any other cause, whether it be car accidents, it's cancer. So if you want to join the movement, join the cause, this is a good introduction to it. You can learn a lot about it, and then join us and be a part of what's a great movement to save the lives of our children, our greatest investment in our future.
Well, Congressman and Sadie, I know that the Literacy Committee will be following up with all sorts of information for our members across the nation. On behalf of the members of the National Federation of Republican Women, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us, and especially for the vital work that you're doing. As a reminder to our viewers, Better Angels is available for purchase online and at all major book retailers. And if you've already read it, consider donating your copy. Anything you can do to spread Sadie's message. Go to betterangelsbook.com. That's betterangelsbook.com to get more information on how to support childhood cancer research or to buy books in bulk to donate. And friends, for updated information about this literacy project and about all the great work that NFRW does, visit nfrw.org. This has been a program of the National Federation of Republican Women, www.nfrw.org. Thank you, sisters and friends, for joining us.
Hey, and thanks, Ann. And if I could just end with, we've had very generous benefactors buy copies. And Sadie and I went to Texas Children, handed it out to children who may not be able to afford it, but giving it to the children. And our goal is to, across the nation, St. Jude's and all across the nation, be able to, Marsha Blackburn, a great Republican woman, is very dedicated to this in Nashville. She's very active with childhood cancer issues, and we're working with her also to be able to give every child with this dreaded disease a copy of the book.
I'm so glad you brought up Senator Blackburn, because she is also a federated sister, and she is also serving on one of our committees, the Legislation and Research Committee. She is a remarkable woman, and I'm so glad to hear that she is integrally involved in this cause.
Very.
So, sisters across the nation, betterangelsbook.com. That's so important. And what a great idea, Congressman McCaul, if you happen to have a local charity, a local library, or some sort of club where you can actually bring your copies of this amazing story. Please do that. And if you don't have the book, please purchase it, because again, as the Congressman and Sadie have said, all the proceeds from the sales of this book go to such a vital and worthwhile cause. It's all about the future of our children. Thank you so much, both of you. Thank you for sharing your precious time for us. And again, thank you for all that you're doing.
Thanks, Ann.
Thank you.
Good night.
Night.
Night.